everybody, welcome back to WOL Talk. This is episode 2. We're going to be talking about our last event, which just happened at the end of April, beginning of May. So first, I would like to introduce some people that are going to be here talking with me about that event. First, I'd like to call in Matthew Staley. Come on down.
Simon Beck.
How's it going?
It's going to
All right. So also, I would like to introduce Mr. Logan Dean, who's a staff member this time. Helped us out. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure. Now, I would also like to introduce one of the people who helped us staff this time, did an excellent job, Mr. Jeremiah Orvis.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
All right, and you all know him. You love him. Well, some of you do. My brother, Clayton McDowell.
Hey, buddy.
All right, well, let's get started. So first off, got a couple of topics we want to talk about. The first one being what we all as the council worked so hard on, which was the new rules. So this time, Matt, you were, out of everybody here, you were our only player this time. And you built your character. How did it feel as far as building your character? Did it feel like you had enough options to choose from for your character? Did it feel like, you know, all the good mechanics you loved were stripped out of there and you had nothing left to pick from? Or did it feel like there were too many things for you to possibly ever be able to get, but you want them all?
Probably the last. It was very, it was easy to put the character that I had played previously back together again. And there was lots of options I wish I could have incorporated. It felt like it was rich. It was nice.
Very good.
Very well done.
Yeah, we most of the classes and everything like that. That's one of the things we wanted, is so that you would have multiple people playing the same class, but they look totally different. And there's actually a few classes, such as the shaman. We had a few shamans there, but they look totally different and they functioned totally different. And that's one of the neat things. It's like, especially with like you and Linda's character Moon. Seeing them out in the field, there was some similarities such as scouting and tracking, but other than that, not really.
They were totally different, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen two different characters out there with two different builds, yet in the same class. And that's what we wanted to achieve, is not having a bunch of duplicates out there on the field running around.
Yeah. So Logan, you, your last character, Ladacroft, he was well known and loved by all the other players and staff alike. Now, you're up for a rewrite. I mean, basically, maybe not a rewrite, but a new character. I know you've had a chance to take a look at the new rules. I mean, what are you kind of thinking? Maybe not so much where you're directing a player, character to go as far as his rules, but what do you think when you come into the rules and you're looking around at all the options? I mean, is it kind of daunting, like overwhelming, or is it like, wow, I can kind of do what I want to do? What do you think?
I think what's really cool is the customization aspect of it. Just like you're saying, you can have almost all shamans, and they'd all be different.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that's really neat is it's so flushed out and clean that it allows you to focus on the immersion aspects with a clean rule book and everything being so well balanced. So looking at it, it's really exciting because where it was already a dynamic rule book, you guys made it to where there's so many options, and it's a good thing because it makes the world more endless. Think about real life. Mm-hmm. There's so many different types of people, different abilities, different skills. It makes it more like real life.
Yeah. And the immersion factor is definitely what we wanted to achieve with that. And even in the sense of, like, you're talking about balance, and we've done a lot of situations to where with the powers that you can counter most anybody that, you're playing against. So, for mages, you have silence abilities, different sets that allow you to, kind of like, well, I want to build my character so that it counters this situation. You can totally do that. That way you don't have anybody that's walking around like, well, none of my abilities are enabled to be, effective in the world. But now at that point you can be like, well, I can change that. So it makes it for a neat and interesting gameplay from this point on.
Yeah. So how do you guys think that the economy was working? I mean, the economy got quite a bit of an overhaul previously, but this time I feel like it was, further, more refined, seeing as how we had more crafters there. There were a lot of people who picked up different things. I mean, we had like 2 smiths that were kind of trying to make their own empire, essentially, of, their crafting goods. We had some alchemy there. We had, a couple different things, a lot of merchant professions. How did it seem to make things flow? So I know you as a player, you probably saw one side of it. we as staff probably saw another side, and Clayton is kind of GMing the whole thing, having to give tags and take tags, when people would make things. What do you guys think? How that feel?
It was nice having merchants. It was really nice having merchants. We had a few players that did that, and it was great because we didn't have to wait for an NPC to come to us. So it was just all right. We all got our loot together. We all bartered. It's like, all right, I'll let you go convert that, and we'll break up the profits. And it was. I think it actually streamlined a lot of that stuff because there was none of that.
Cool.
None of that. Oh well, I have to wait till somebody's here to take care of this. I have the burden of hanging on to it until someone's here. That was actually really refreshing. That was really cool.
And it's good to hear that for the fact that Kyle's actually the one that came up with the merchant. And one of the base ideas was that because there was a lot of downtime to where players were waiting for a merchant to come around and, buy these materials. And so now that's not necessary anymore. We have a player doing that job for us, and they're able to experience something in that with role playing, selling things.
Yeah, bartering is actually in the game because the NPC merchant was never like, oh, you know what, I'm going to shortcut you on this. I'm only going to give you this much. We just paid full price. I mean, we didn't try to really cheat our players that much. So where with a player, bartering with another player, then you have that, they have that leniency to try to get the bigger cut out of the deal and things like that. And plus, with players being the merchants, they can control, like you said, when they deal with selling things, getting their money for it. Because essentially the item tags are cool, but all they really are to the players, is maybe something for immersion, but also it's money they just don't have yet. Yeah. So it kind of gives them that freedom to play with it.
And one thing that I saw that I thought was really cool is when Jamie was busy smithing, he's like, I need one more, piece of ore. Can I hire anybody to go out and mine that for me? And he got some offers from people to actually go out and get that for him while he was continuing to smith. So they earned money, and he was able to stay at the forge there. So
that's perfect.
And with the whole profession system, some people would be better for him to hire than others because they'd have more return. So also another thing is this is more like an in-game kind of thing, but the festival. The festival was big focus.
That's fun.
This last event. There were a lot of games, all through the Saturday portion of the event. We just had all these games throughout the day. Why don't you guys just throw out some memories you had about some fun times, what you witnessed?
Watching Flint and Ardanian run. That
was a long way.
My God, dude. As soon as the second I realized what they were doing, I'm like, oh my God, there's no way they're running that whole thing. And the fact that they did amazes me. They were coming up. I was surprised they weren't purple in the face, dying, coming up the hill. And then you have Heather's NPC character Zippo just skipping, and you're just laughing. It was great. It was awesome.
If you could coup de grace the GM, I'm pretty sure that I would have had two people there sharing the count at that moment. I got threats like crazy. I'm like, you ran it, man. You ran it.
That was impressive, though.
It was good.
That was crazy.
Another one was Matt's face when he knocked the target off of the thing. Everybody's trying so hard, to get it, and I could just see Matt getting more intense with it. Like, I'm going to take it. Yeah. And he proved himself the best archer on the field. So boom, knocked it off.
So he basically there are three targets: a close, a medium, and a far target. I think it was your first shot, right?
It was my second.
It was your second shot.
Really
Shoots it right out there and just pow, hits that medium difficulty target. Now these aren't real arrows; they're boffer arrows. They don't fly straight, and they're very heavy and cumbersome. And boom, hits that target and just destroys it practically.
It was great.
Kind of held up the event for a little bit. Had to go fix it, but it was
it was worth it.
Yeah,
I was like, yes, I feel like I'm redeemed at this point. I destroyed a target. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I did feel bad for Moon because she did hit that beautiful shot.
The practice shot.
Yeah, shoot right off the money. The number 3.
Yeah, the second people bid on her, she just I talked to her afterwards. She's like, I couldn't handle the pressure. Second there was money on that. I was like, I was shaking the entire time. She said I couldn't stop shaking once I knew there was money on me.
Pressure.
She's that lone type, hunter type. She can't. Don't watch me kill this deer. I got to take it out on my own.
Yeah. If you did for being an inch away, if she got points for that, she'd have won.
Right. Oh gosh.
Just missed.
Yeah. It would have been great.
I think another really good time was the drinking game.
That was,
You know,
Oh yeah.
I think everybody who participated in that had a really good time.
Yeah.
How's that back surgery? How'd that go, by the way?
Oh, yeah. I can feel my legs now.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Like the whole thing of just everybody involved in that. Like I think had a good time. I'm pretty sure I've almost seen a couple players pass out from laughing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
For not having alcohol at the event,
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Swerve.
It's a,
That would have been a real mess. That would have been. 'Cause, yeah, we had basically people passing out, you know, role playing, passing out, but I've never seen anybody role play being drunk better. You know, when you got 6 people surrounding a table, well, except for one person who apparently didn't pull any heavy drinks. You know,
Oh my gosh.
Not a one.
but yeah, so it was great. Like some of the cheating that was going on in the game.
That
and
was
stuff
hilarious.
Like
I just watched you. I was so mad. It was so hard not to keep it out of the game.
Well,
It
see,
was
the
so-
thing is the dwarves, their whole goal was just to get
Get
drunk,
drunk, I know.
not to win, but they wanted to hit the floor the first, you know?
Right.
So,
And they didn't understand the rules.
or the wall.
Yeah.
Wall.
Yeah.
oh, well.
That was great though. Flint just pours it in. You're like, oh, thank you.
Extra turn.
Another funny thing that nobody probably knows is Jenny was playing Freya, sitting at the end of the table, and Dodge was drunk, you know, and he's on the floor and he's starting to wake up, and her coin purse is hanging there. So he's like, I'm going to take advantage of this. And it was tied to her, so I'm yanking on it, trying to get it off. And she turns around and Zippo's looking all guilty. So and I just pretended like I was sleeping again. And Zippo got blamed for it. Like Heather's just like, what did I do? He got the wrath of Freya, and it wasn't even her fault. It was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. And some of those drinks were really powerful, too.
Yeah, I had coffee grounds in mind. I
Yeah,
don't know if
there
it was supposed to be.
There was some vinegar in some of them, and
Oh, I got lucky because I didn't have that. I mean,
Yeah,
I got
some
one that
of
was
them-
a really it was an iced coffee taste, and it was okay. It was probably the most bitter of the drinks I had.
yeah.
The Ridge Special was the best though.
Yeah.
That tasted awesome.
Yeah, because I think they ranged all the way up to a potency of 6, and I got 6, 5, 4, 3, and I don't know if I got any under
I
that.
don't think you're anything under a 3.
So my lips were pretty well pickled.
Well,
But
yeah.
after that, so we had some different things in this this last event, which where the world is headed. You know, the Merdania is kind of like a pioneer state. You know, it's where no government really has a foothold in the entirety of how the place is ran or anything like that. So we had these different factions. We've always had different groups and different things like that, but these factions are kind of, you know, they have something politically to gain, you know, in this situation that's going on right now. How did the addition of these different factions and how they kind of viewed each other, and, you know, there's kind of this feud that's going on, and the players are able to choose, you know, if they want to kind of help pursue the goals of one versus the other. Then you have, like, the Commonwealth, who was, you know, kind of putting on the whole festival that everybody was enjoying. House Daloon, who was, you know, all about justice and law and order coming in. And you have the whole thing with the Telfair Enclave not wanting anything to do with any of them. How did that make the world feel to you guys in your perspective?
Well, it definitely did add some diversity to it. Jeremiah played an amazing character from one of the houses. That was really cool. The experience.
Are you talking about the noble?
Yeah, the noble.
Yeah, they hated you.
House Woodall.
He didn't even do anything. They're like, oh, instant pop.
Right. Good guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I was trying to be, you know, as nice to people as I could, but I'm like, I know who I am,
Yeah.
and I'm better than you, so.
we all got that.
Yeah,
Right?
And we were just
man.
like, I remember because you and I talked a little bit with that character, like about land. And I'm like, when I got done, I walked by, like, he's gonna end up with a dagger in his back.
Well, that's the thing. I was, you know, I had that gold coin I was playing with and a purse full of money, and so Flint, like, he instantly comes up and, like, he's hugging me. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's trying to see if he can get anything off of me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Got a lot of hugs from Flint. Don't touch me, peasant.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it did some good things, especially in the giving the players, you know, from going from a world to where they were focused on a big enemy to shifting over to a position of, wow, we have a lot of options. And not only just options, but personal view options. And it really started bubbling that to the surface, and which was really good. You know, 'cause like we've talked about in our previous WOL Talk, is when your characters get good and when it all really gets good is when it gets emotional and it gets tough.
It becomes real to your character.
Yep. And so I think that this whole thing is allowing diversity to happen, and it's allowing those good traits to bubble to the surface. And I'm really looking forward to what the continuation is going to bring, especially for like players and their emotional states because of this.
Yeah, and I think it also caused a lot of players to realize that it's not players versus NPCs anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, we're all just this big happy family of players. No, there might be some other player characters that my character does not like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they showed their true colors through this. You know, whether it be better or for worse. You know, I think they started figuring each other out in a new light. Essentially.
Yeah, it's not just good versus bad necessarily. It's what are my good intentions versus your good intentions versus your good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Those line up.
And then, you know, even in that, watching situations build to almost morally, am I whether or not if I'm in sync with these people anymore? Because I'm not sitting in a cabin. Because when you're sitting in a cabin being assaulted by endless undead, you're friends with everyone who's not an undead.
Yeah.
And so for that big shift, you know, you're kind of like, well, it's kind of, you know, open now, and we don't really need to be friends. We are, but all of a sudden it's like, well, now I'm really seeing who you are. You know, and that's what's cool is because everybody has their own character and personality, and it's really caused everybody to focus in on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a transitory period for sure. So another thing, sort of involving that, kind of highlighting some things. The whole thing with the convict that kind of turned into a very large scale issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it kind of made some people draw what appeared to be some lines in the sand, you know, between some characters and things like that. And I'm sure you have a few words you would like to say.
Not to anybody directly, but
No,
more in
no,
a general sense.
No, no. I was fuming at it pretty much the whole time. Because, like, you did a good job of playing up where I literally thought he was, you know, a captured slave or something along those lines, and then it went really downhill real quick, especially when you threatened me and no one else caught it. Oh, I probably really confused a lot of people because I went from 0 to 100 instantaneously. I was like, draw blades, you're dead.
Yeah, we walked like 2 miles. I'm following him and Xylee for like 2 miles chasing these guys, and he didn't drop the fume for 1 second. it was I was surprised he didn't look at Xylee and go, "Shut up! I don't want to talk anymore about it. We're just gonna find them. Shut up, bird. We're gonna find them." It was good.
Well, there was even a few times while chasing you, like when we got really close to you, where I actually had doubt for a second that actually caused me to back off. And then I realized that was stupid. I should just ran after you guys when I had a chance.
It was a good moment. Like in a sense of like, you know, even the intentions of everybody there, without going into detail, you know, everybody had their own reasons. And that's the best thing about that mod, is it really brought that out. And you're right, it really drew some lines in the sand. And you know, that's good. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
And it is especially difficult because you as players were only going off of the word of each of us.
Right.
Like his story versus my story, and Logan that I brought in as backup. But, you know, because we were saying one thing and you were saying, I don't know what you were saying, but, you know, you had them convinced. I mean, like, I come in and I'm like, you know, hey, I'm looking for this guy. He's very dangerous. You know, have you seen him? And like, oh, yeah, we took his manacles off and sold him a sword and everything. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
This guy's bad news. I mean, like, hey, what are you doing?
And I think it was a bit of a wake-up call for some of the players where they're like, you know, they've seen a lot of our NPCs, and a lot of our NPCs are very, you know, easygoing, and they're good people, and they want the best. But that NPC was basically, you know, trying to swindle everybody. You know, he came walking in with blood on his hands and a broken manacle, and the players were very nice to him, even though he was quite a rude person himself. They took the manacle off, they sold it. Actually, no, didn't sell him because he didn't have enough money to buy anything, because he killed his captors. But anyway, so
at the same time,
they
seeing
basically
seeing that character too, though, they're also looking at it a perspective of, if you look at if people pay attention to a lot of other characters' backstories, not everybody had a good upbringing situation. They didn't start off heroes; they started it off some of them villains. And they changed their life. And so, giving that man, it necessarily, some of the views is. So you have characters that have the views of, well, this man did a crime, he deserves to, justice. Don't seek the bad in him, but he deserves to see justice. And then the other ones go, he deserves a second chance.
Yeah.
Where some think that the justice is the second chance, some think that the other. And both are correct.
Right.
But at the same time, that's, again, that compass of, of it's not good versus evil. It might be chaotic versus lawful, and on the compass. So that's the neat part about it.
And depending on what interactions happen in the future will determine probably how that character fleshes out.
Exactly. And they don't
maybe a story of redemption or maybe a story of, blackening someone's heart.
Yeah, they don't know. Yeah, and that's the thing is two people were going, making a judgment about a person, and neither of them, know the full backstory, and you couldn't because he wasn't going to let it out.
Right.
So yeah, you could totally, this could swing either way, but it was more important about the judgments that people made, in and of themselves and how they should deal with this situation. That was the cool part. Yeah.
So, beyond that, another couple of things. There were some pretty fun mods,
different, lots of fun mods,
different things that the players and the staff got to experience this time. First and foremost, there was a dragon at this lesson. I think a dragon showed up. That's what I heard anyway. I wasn't sure.
Word on the trail.
Yeah, Matt would probably be the best one to talk about that. He was in there for this.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. I remember one moment I'm acting drunk and feeling drunk, and the next minute I am stone sober giving orders, and everybody's down, candles are out, curtains are shut. Michael's got the door on lockdown. We got Arjani and Flint trying to go outside. It was crazy. We got lights out, everybody's down, everybody's talking. No one's talking for a whisper. Never a whisper.
Yeah, nobody's head, literally, there wasn't one single skull above about a 3-foot height. Everybody was down on their knees, other than Michael at the door, because he's up against the wall, you're not going outside, and it was pretty funny in the sense of, but you could tell, the best part about it is, when...
It was tense.
Yeah, when...
It was so
I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, shades are scary, how are we going to up that? A dragon. What's scarier than a dragon? You know what I mean?
You definitely felt no one other than Daniel and Flint, and even Flint really didn't backtalk, it was just really Ardanian. And it was pretty much a conversation, my hand out like this, you're like, you're not going out there, it will kill you. And everybody else. Well, if it lands on the roof? It's not going to land on the roof unless you give it a reason to land on the roof.
It did land on the roof for a second, I thought. Wasn't there a moment it was on the roof?
There was a moment it was on the roof.
It was a high jump.
Oh, man. It wasn't the only thing jumping. The whole floor jumped when it hit the roof, so it was good.
I wish I hit it outside.
It
hit a few things.
It was kind of curious about what was in that inn.
Well, I'm glad I got bored and went on its way. I wasn't ready for instant death.
So the funny thing is there's a duality of it where you've got the players experiencing one thing where it's, because they hear the sounds, they're all around each other, building upon one another's panic, and so they get the full effect of the cabins shaking, and there's something on the roof and all this stuff. So in their minds, they weren't seeing anything. First off, nobody was looking out any windows. All the lights were out.
Which with the shades, when there was 3 shades, we had people looking out the windows. When we had a dragon, not a soul peeped through them curtains. Not a one.
And then the flip side to it is not to take away any of the magic from it, hopefully, but the staff members, myself included, that was outside, we're walking around in the rain.
Right. I was waiting for something to happen.
Walking around back and forth. Okay, what do we do? And we're not hearing music. We're not, no ambience. We're just walking around in the rain,
waiting for something to kill.
Yeah, pretending that all of us are this big dragon. We're operating different parts of this big dragon with these cloaks we were wearing and whatnot. And so then basically we needed to amp it up. I'm gonna go jump kick the tavern. It's just funny how it works. I hope that scared them.
Well, the funniest thing about that, like what was the craziest about that, is the soundtrack that I had sounds like a dragon crashing through trees and busting up wood, and you hear all of this crazy stuff going on. And so what went on there is, as soon as all of a sudden you'd hear a big crunch or a big boom, boom, and the dragon would roar or something, that's when you guys would hit the end, is the moment it would do a huge roar, or all of a sudden you hear these boards breaking, and snapping and twisting. That's when everything would hit. So it was like, almost like, can they hear this outside? They're waiting for this, and it just hit perfect. And,
yeah, it was good timing. I mean,
it was good.
Yeah.
it felt intense. It really did. I cannot stress how intense it really was.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's cool that it synced up like that. 'Cause like you said, we could not hear anything.
Yeah, we're walking around
Yeah,
listening to
nothing.
rain.
Yeah. You probably never heard the tavern so quiet. Like that's the thing. That's what's funny about it is, man, it was good though. It was good. I wish I would have filmed it. I should have took the camera and did the sound in there.
Yeah, and there was another good mod where, at least from my perspective, I got to have a lot of fun with it with the orcs, where they chase down the girl and they slew her, and not all the player characters were able to get there in time, to rescue her, and only a few of them kind of trickled down the path at a time, and so
That was
a
dangerous. We almost
good
lost
fight.
somebody, I felt like.
Yeah, because actually, Josh's character, he got down there and
Yeah,
he got messed up pretty good, and then Flint tried to sneak. I don't know what he was doing. I thought he was trying to sneak by, 'cause you told him to go get him, right? Somebody told him to. Somebody
We were
told
just trying to save the girl.
Yeah, somebody
the whole
said
time
go.
we were just trying to save the girl.
because
Yeah,
Dayton-
somebody said Zer's down the hill.
Yeah, somebody
Go
told
get
him
him.
to go, and I was the orc at this point, and Logan was an orc too, but he was a little bit further behind, and all of a sudden I see Flint, he didn't have his arms crossed, he wasn't sneaking, and he's crouched down, going along the side of the path right beside me, and I'm like, smack. It's funny, I was like, did I not do something right? But it was just a funny moment, but then it turned out to be a really
It was an
intense
moment.
combat,
Yeah.
where it was going tooth and nail to the survivor for that fight.
I'm just glad I was able to break kneecaps. The slow saved my life.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
an amazing power. I'm glad I picked it up. And it worked. I was like, am I going to use this? Well, I like it. It sounds like something my character would do. I'm going to use it. I used the heck out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, your kneecap's gone. Your kneecap's gone. You're slow, so I could just put arrows in you while me just backing you up.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, it got out of hand quick, and it was just an unexpected scenario,
Yeah.
of like, we got to take care of the girl instead of grouping up on each other, and it was not a failure, but it was just a situation that got you into a pickle,
And it was one of those moments where they started running out there, trickling in. It was basically who ran out there the fastest. So it kind of shows you how bad things can go when
you're not grouped up.
Not just that, but don't have enough time to plan.
Right, plan.
And it
Yeah,
shows you
definitely.
how good things go, even against really difficult enemies. When the players look at who is on the mod. A few of us on the mod, and they strategize with one another. Okay, I'm going to be the defensive line. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to
prep work
protect,
makes a huge difference. Yes, it
Yeah.
does. You can take on just about anything if you have enough prep time.
Well, even one thing that was really cool is Jeremiah was playing a hill giant at the iron mine, and
I wasn't even there, but that was great.
He's playing the scary roll up. So, and it's one purple. It's a tough enemy, but it's nothing crazy. You know what I mean? That the heroes haven't taken on in the past. They decided to go back twice to two brown cyclopses, but this one purple hill giant's got everybody in a pickle. But it was good. It was in a sense of
It wasn't a moral debate.
Yeah,
It was the
and then
moral
it dropped
debate,
into
really.
a moral debate that was pretty neat. Of this guy is, what is giants about? So it got to use the knowledges and everything, because they were worried about, is this guy just a wandering big guy that's taking resin up here? Are we about to kill a hobo living in a dirt hole. You know, we want your dirt hole. You know,
Get out of that dirt hole.
Yeah, we want your dirt hole. Get out of that dirt hole.
Isn't he just a big, mentally handicapped man?
Yeah.
This is morally wrong.
I heard a little bit of that, but
It was
but
good.
most of it, I couldn't hear because I was so far away. But
It was so good. Like that's why I came back to you smiling every time because I'm like, it's so crazy up there.
Well, I loved it because I did a frost giant as staff, and I did the same crap to the whole group. And I just like, oh, this is great. I'm getting what I dished out back. I'm getting what I dished out back finally. And it was like, that's awesome. We're gonna kill you anyways. But it was great.
Yeah, it was definitely neat, and Jeremiah played a great role for the fact that he had everybody, you know, the whole group come down to take him out, and then he was so scary to them that they broke cohesion and just the group went and scattered. And it was good. They had to regroup and come back.
Yeah,
It was fun.
and as I mentioned earlier, both Logan and Jeremiah, they staffed this last event, so they were, you know, the NPCs that we needed. They were the monsters we needed. They were the arms to lift and carry things around that we needed, and they both did an excellent job, and we thank you guys for that. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that a little bit as far as being a staff member? Because Logan, I talked with you about it a little bit, and you said it was fun, and it was a different type of fun.
Yeah, it's because it's like I got asked the question a lot. Did I like being a staff member better or a player better? And I'm like, you can't really answer that. It's they're both extremely fun for their own reason, and you're not necessarily immersed as much as a staff member, but you get to watch players be really immersed and help create in that, and it's such a rewarding feeling for that, and it really is a different experience to see it from that perspective. Like the moment we were the wandering bandits. For
Oh my gosh, I love that. That was great.
Matt's walking on the trail by himself, and we're a couple of kind of weaker wandering bandits, and I'm like, in my head as the NPC, I'm thinking, oh, there's Matt walking on the trail. And the way you talked, that's our tomb walking down the trail, you know. So as like a staff member, that's really cool to see that, because as a player, you're kind of in it.
Yeah.
But as a staff member, you're watching, you're like, you know, it's just a different perspective.
Yeah.
It was intense. It was good.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were going to try to jump among them. Like, oh, great.
No, you literally talked us. We were going to. You literally RP'd us out of it, you know. And so being a staff member from that point of view is really cool.
Yeah, well, not only that, we got a lot of comments with, with your acting ability in the sense of like we had an inn mod. It was a simple mod. It was just a bear coming at the inn, but you played it so well that you had like so many people were like that mod, you know, and it was just a simple bear, but it shows you the fact of when somebody puts their heart into a role. And you know they're RPing it, you know, in a way that gets everybody immersed. Mm-hmm. Though it does, you know, you could have a 17-layer dungeon with all of this, and and people don't talk about it. You know, it was fun, but people don't talk about it. And then all of a sudden, you got something little over here, you know, that everybody talks about, or vice versa. You know, it's kind of funny as a staff member. You don't know what mod is actually going to do good in the sense of it's just the ones that all of a sudden you drop into and you put your heart into it, and you made that bear mod made such a good moment for so many people, and it was so simple, but you sold it.
And then also with Jeremiah, had such a presence with a lot of the characters he was playing, to where, I mean, we have like what we consider an acting marshal, you know, somebody who's normally a player, but they're, you know, a staff. I've never seen such a level of where an acting marshal affected players, you know. From my perspective, you know, with your characters in House Daloon and Vidal, and it was really neat. And I think we threw you into the fire a lot of the times, like especially when you were the House Daloon character and having to almost get into this political debate with Oak, who's a very well-known, and a lot of people really like Oak and trust
that was
Oak.
Intense, yes.
And kind of threw you into the fire there, and you swam excellently, you know, with this much information. So it was really great.
So how was staffing in your opinion? Like,
oh, I loved it. Yeah, it was amazing. And you know, I think the coolest thing about it is you never know what the players are going to do, how they're going to interact with, you know, either your you know, monster, or your NPC or whatever. So there's so much like, you know, that you have to change and just go with on the fly. It's really cool to see that. So And it was really difficult for some of those characters, like the House Saloon character, in that we had such a wide range of people. Like some people are like, I don't really know you, but I'll talk nice to you, versus like I don't like this guy at all. Like Flint and the Danian, where like they knew who I was when I walked up from my tabard, and they're like from the get go, they were like both playing it really aloof. They're like, oh yeah, we're all about truth and justice, and we'd never do anything wrong. Yeah, so that was kind of like, oh, you've heard about it. Right?
Yeah. Have we met before?
Right.
On good terms with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys did definitely great roles with everything. And I go back to the House Saloon moment when the convict situation was going on, and you guys played two different personalities there too. Where Jeremiah was still that role of the staunch, hey, here's the rules, and then Logan came in with the passion of it. Hey, people are in danger. We need to take care of this. Don't obstruct this justice, because you're putting innocent people's lives on the line. And so you played both, like almost a good cop, bad cop situation. And it was really neat, and it really made people question, like, on even the house, because they're like, maybe we weren't wrong, or maybe we were wrong about House Saloon. Maybe these guys aren't good guys. And then other ones are like, well, they might be, but we don't want them in here, But some of them are going, hey, maybe that you guys sold it so good. It's like, hey, maybe we do need these protections. Maybe we do need these. Innocent people may suffer because unless these guys do their job.
Yeah, and that is a very difficult choice for the players to make, because it's still too early.
Yeah.
They don't know anything about these houses other than those few brief interactions.
Right.
So there's still a lot of information that's
there's a lot of
that they'll have
questions.
to learn.
Yeah, undiscovered territory.
Right.
Especially with the past betrayals too.
Oh yeah, especially the past betrayals.
It's not very quick
Well,
to do.
I think it was hilarious because not to throw Flynn under the bus or anything, but I think you took your character's place as the most paranoid character. These guys are all trying to start war. We're going a 7-way war.
I mean, can you blame him though? I mean,
No, I
Lord
can't.
Max
I
is just
can't.
about wipe the map. So
No, I can't. It was just like the entire time, everybody was just like, a lot of us didn't want to trust any of you.
Yeah.
We're just like, well, okay, I know Oak's okay because I've dealt with Oak a little bit. I know, our, Hands of Tethra remakes are going to be good because they've got our people in there now. I mean, come on, it's our two best players, or our two best characters, our guys in there. So we know that, look, it's Laddercroft
and Gyros.
and Gyros, thank you. There's no way that place is corrupt. Gyros won't allow it. Laddercroft is too suspicious.
Yeah, just in that, it is coming to a point to where it is really needed, that faction of what you're talking about, to the point of the players are starting. With this event, you could see at the beginning how everybody was still like a large group.
Yeah.
They came in as like, hey, we're the festival and we're all coming here to party together. And by the end of it, you see people breaking off and into their own cliques and things like that. And I think certain individuals, because of what went on at the event, were excited about that. They were happy to see that, and because they wanted to kind of do that. And then other ones are like, almost like the family's breaking up. Like, mom and dad are fighting. All of that is good because it, like I said before, it brings out that emotion. It brings out those character connections, and also a character separation is also just as good as a character connecting.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place to end it. We could go on for hours and hours,
Oh, yeah.
and we all know that. But I think that pretty much wraps it up for this episode of WOL Talk. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to continue the discussion with us, go ahead and leave a comment. If you have anything you'd want to kind of add to something we said or something you thought was funny, we'd definitely love to get your input. Also, if you have anything you want to communicate to us as far as your input about what happened, what you'd like to see, maybe you have ideas that we could add to our world, go ahead and send them to our email address. And thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Pause.
Resist.
Pause.
Pause.
Pause. Fine. Pause.